Hello, wonderful people, and thank you for joining me. I'm Linda Sharkey, and I'm here to tell you about the exciting updates to the point cloud tools that may help you if you're working in building-focused workflows. We'll talk about redesigned Point Cloud Manager for more intuitive pre-processing workflows. We'll talk about better functionality for tracing lines in point clouds, improvements to workflows that use LGSX format, enhancements for generating ortho images and auto-generating lines from point clouds, and then, if you feel like playing along, I'll show you where to download some datasets to play with. First up, let's have a look at the differences between V25 and V26 when it comes to pre-processing point clouds in BricsCAD. Now, in V25, even though you could work with multiple types of point cloud formats, the pre-processing dialog was a little basic. Now, we've updated it to include a thumbnail and metadata, such as whether the point cloud has scans, normals, UCSs, the number of points, and more. There's also a search option. And also new to V26, we have logs available right from the Cache Manager. This contains all sorts of useful information, and in the unlikely event of an error during processing, this will act as a troubleshooting document and will allow you to get a super speedy response from the support team at Bricsys. The team has worked really hard to streamline the way you can generate 2D data from 3D point clouds. And although Trace is not a new feature, we heard from users that it was a little too automatic and that you guys wanted more control over your input parameters. What I'm doing here is I'm inserting a point cloud and I'm going to rotate it so that it fits better on my page. Now, always keep an eye on the command line when working with point clouds because you'll often be prompted for input there. I can't tell you how many times I've waited for the software to do something and realized that it's waiting for a command prompt. So once I've rotated my point cloud, I'll crop it to the area I'm interested in. I'm using the polygon option here, but other options are available. And I'm ready to trace some lines. But before that, I'm going to run the detect floor command and select my point cloud. So at the command line, I'll choose to create spatial elements, and then when that finishes, I'll switch the story bar on by setting the story bar variable to 2. You can set this in settings dialog as well, but I use a Civil workspace more often than a BIM workspace, so I never really remember to. Now on the left, you'll see the story bar, and you can click on the floor icons to switch to a top view mode of that floor. And you can adjust the floors by using the little sliders over here so that the floor slice looks the way you want it to. When you're ready to trace lines from the point cloud, hit the Fit button, and the point cloud trace option will be the default. There are a few options there, but this will be the default. At the command prompt, you'll be prompted to enter options such as the search radius and the connect mode. Now, I'm using 100 millimeters for my search radius, and I want to create connected lines. Then you start tracing your walls. The light blue line will show you a preview of the line that will be created, and you can click along those lines to create next points. Now, for me, it took a little bit of getting used to how often to click because I'm not a BIM expert, but even I managed to get the hang of it really quickly. So once you're finished tracing, you can either double click to finish or hit close on the command line if you want to create a closed polyline. Now, if we go over to the Point Cloud Manager on the my right-hand side here, yours might be the other side, we can switch off the point cloud, and there you can see the line that we've just traced on the first floor. Now, let's head over to floor 0 and trace a line from that section of the point cloud. Again, choosing the point cloud trace command and the same options as before, I'll start tracing walls on the ground floor, watching the light blue preview line to see what's being drawn and clicking to place next points. Again, we can switch the point cloud off to see the line we've drawn. To show you what we've done here, we'll go to the structure browser and check what's in our project. We've got the point cloud and 2 polylines. I'll change the look of them. Then I'll switch off the point cloud and ta-da! 2 lines, which from this angle looks like a weird little guy breakdancing, which makes me very happy. But if we change the view, you'll see that both of these lines are on the floor they were traced on. Now, one thing to remember about tracing on point clouds is that the trace works on the current user coordinate system, UCS. So if I want to trace on the side of my point cloud and hit trace, I'll be taken into a top-down view, which is annoying, but here's how you deal with that. To trace on the front or back or side of a building, simply navigate to the view you want and use that view to set the UCS. Once you've done that, you can trace the point cloud as you see fit. And there's good news for our friends who use multiple UCSs within Leica LGSX formats. Keep watching this because we've made this particular workflow even easier for you to deal with in V26 as well. If you want to take these features for a spin, then you can find the data sets that I used from the University of Zurich, Department of Informatics, Visualization and Multimedia Lab. So under the research datasets, you'll find many free options. And for this one, I used the Maisonette dataset. The way that users can work with LGSX data has been improved. Now, the processing of this has 2 steps, really. One is the actual processing of the points, and the other is visual optimization, which can take up to 30% of the processing time. So we've improved this workflow by showing the point cloud almost immediately and continuing to process any bubbles that might be associated with the cloud in the background. So purple bubbles mean they're still being processed for things like normals or depth per point. And then once they're finished, they'll switch from purple to green, meaning it's fully processed. Now, this means that data shows up even faster and you can continue to work whilst your point cloud finishes processing. Another difference with LGSX format is that if you've scanned with multiple user coordinate systems, these will be available when you're working with the point cloud. Now, remember, user coordinate systems are set within the Leica Geosystems software, whatever you're using there. You don't set them in BricsCAD. But if those have been set up, then what we've created in V26 will make it easier to handle complex geometries like multiple floors or sloped walls, and it improves accuracy for measurements. It also streamlines and facilitates modeling and designs. Another improvement the team has made in V26 is project section. This is now a command with 2 separate pieces. The first is where you generate an ortho image of the section, and here you can specify pixel size and resolution. And then separately, you can either specify whether you want lines detected or not. And if you do, you get a live preview in the panel. This means you can adjust parameters such as gap tolerance, angle tolerance, and minimum length of lines. Then when you're done, you can turn off the point cloud and close out, leaving you with an ortho image of your section and a set of auto-generated lines, ready for you to continue working. And finally, another improvement in BricsCAD V26, if you've been working with Scan to BIM, is that in V25, the command point cloud scan to BIM was only available in experimental mode, meaning you had to run BricsCAD in experimental mode to use it. So even though this command combined 3 fully featured commands in one step, it was still considered an experiment. In V26, we're pleased to announce that Scan to BIM has graduated with a button on the ribbon and full support and everything. Congratulations, Scan to BIM. And with that, I'd like to thank you for joining me for this session. I hope you learned some new stuff. And remember, we have way more new stuff on our V26 webpage from people far, far smarter than I am. So scan the QR code to learn more. And until next time, have a great day.